Thank you for tuning in to Testosterone Fantasy Sports Promotional DVD. Jeff and Jesse in the house on the set of our show, Testosterone Fantasy Sports. Tell the people at home why they've plugged in this DVD, Jeffrey.
Well, they're taking the opportunity to check out Testosterone Sports, who we are, and what it is that we do here on the set, Jesse. 2004 is when we started the show, so we're 4 years into it now. And the concept of what we wanted to do when we decided to come and do this is we wanted to be a fan-first approach at fantasy football and the Minnesota Vikings.
Exactly. Fantasy football is blowing up. It's in your face. We know you know about fantasy football already, but we just felt like in the general lay of the land, the media was really lacking something like our show where we take a real non-traditional approach to meeting and greeting the people out there that are fantasy football junkies, and we've come to know quite a few of them, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. And the concept that we started with is something we're still rolling with right now, and that's we want to be able to be an interactive television show. So when we first started the show, we were live and we took calls. We worked our way through that, and now we do it pre-taped. So we designed our website with a chat room so that people out there can continuously interact with us. There's always questions about who to start, who to bench, who to trade for in fantasy football. It's a tough thing to win your league, and so we're trying to take the approach of interacting with people. So what we do is we take a laid-back set design and approach there by wearing the jerseys of the players that we like.
Exactly.
And then, we just kind of try to focus our best efforts on helping people win.
And we've found that this approach really brings a lot of loyalty from our viewers. They come onto our website, Testosterone Fantasy Sports, on a weekly basis. They check out our online offering as well as meeting us when we're out and about in public at different functions, because throughout this process, Jeff, we've been privy to becoming Vikings insiders of sorts.
Yeah, it's been great, and that's been another part of it is after being kind of fan first, then it's about the team, the Minnesota Vikings, and how can we glean information out of what's going on at Winter Park and down in Mankato. They've been nice enough to give us media credentials to Mankato and the training camp, as well as some games, and by doing that, we've been afforded the opportunity to meet with several of the players, do interviews with them, guys like Tony Richardson and Chad Greenway, and of course Adrian Peterson.
And not only that, but we've also been able to meet some real industry insiders, key players in the world of the NFL at large. Of course, I'm talking locally here about Mike Morris, a guy who's on the radio here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and John Clayton of ESPN fame, people that we've been able to talk to, interview for our show to bring the knowledge that the people that play fantasy football out there need to help them dominate their fantasy football leagues.
Yeah, and that's part of the work of what we've done. Yeah, of course, it looks great because when we say work, we're getting a chance to talk to some of these players and see what's going on inside the Vikings locker room and everything. But when we started the show, it was for fun, and that's the approach that we've decided to take.
Exactly.
We're not going to be wearing three-piece suits out here. We're not coming across like, I played for 12 years in the NFL, so I know just what to tell you about. We're guys who will wear jerseys on our set and just have fun with it, and we want to portray that in our product.
But enough talking about how awesome we are. We want you to check it out right here. We're coming up with a set of clips for you from Season 4. We thank you for plugging this DVD in. Check it out, Testosterone Fantasy Sports. What is up, Testosterone Nation? You are locked and loaded, tuned in to another episode of Testosterone Fantasy Sports, right here on your local cable access provider. It's Jeff and Jesse back in the house. Week 3, Jeff. I can't be any more excited for this show than I am right now.
Yeah, it was a really crazy week 2 in the NFL. So many different upsets. I mean, we saw a wild and wacky game, Cincinnati at Cleveland. Oh my goodness gracious, Jamal Lewis getting his thing on. It was wild,
no kidding.
man.
And so many big upsets in the week that was week number 2 in the NFL. It's almost like we told you on last week's show not to panic.
Right.
We need to tell the junkies out there, don't panic, because there's a lot of trends that are supposedly developing right now, and deciphering these things can be kind of difficult right now, man.
No, but I'm really excited about our defense. I really think that we're going to be the type of fantasy football defense that is going to be game-changing. With the touchdowns that we got in the preseason, in my mind, are a trend that we saw, and I think that it's a unit that's together right now. I think that they're loaded with veterans who are playing at a high caliber, and the young guys who are stepping up definitely have the ability to make plays. We see that in Cedric Griffin. We've seen some real good things out of Chad Greenway, our linebacker, and E.J. Henderson seems to be making the transition very nicely. So I'm excited about that. Our defense is going to be good.
One other player I'd like to touch on real quickly here before we wrap up this segment is E.J. Henderson. Playing linebacker for this squad a couple years back. You heard us here on this panel really savage E.J. over and over again for lackluster effort, not really playing with his head. But as I start to look across the landscape of the NFC, it appears to me that E.J. Henderson is playing at a Pro Bowl level. And I think, Jeff, we need to give this coaching staff its due in certain areas. Yeah, they made some mistakes at the quarterback position, but looking at a development of a player like E.J. Henderson does give me a little bit more hope that maybe this coaching staff isn't as far off as we might have thought they were from time to time.
Actually, let me make a point off of that. If you're that high on Hines Ward, hopefully he can exploit the good matchups. What I see for everybody out there is Santonio Holmes kind of taking the reins as far as Hines Ward's number one in name, in my opinion, right now. I think this is the year that Santonio steps up in his second year, a year earlier than everybody supposedly says the third-year receiver thing happens. I think Santonio is going to be the guy, but against good matchups, I think Hines can go well for you.
And another guy with some good matchups down the stretch at the quarterback position. He's a little old, but Kurt Warner, you're looking at his fantasy bowl stretch. Week 14, Cleveland. Week 15, the Saints. And Week 16, Atlanta. That's some money time there for K-Dub. So some quarterbacks out there that you could probably add to your roster to help you. But
the guy that I love in this offense, and call me crazy, is that little midget Wes Welker. I don't know why. The guy catches balls. He runs precise routes. He's the Belichick type of guy.
You're crazy.
And Randy Moss and Dante Stallworth are both guys that are going to miss games this year. They're going to miss time. Wes Welker, the guy is a maniac. He's a workout maniac. He's a student of the game. He's built like me, small and fast like me. So
moving right along, 1-5 Atlanta Falcons going to the 1-4 New Orleans Saints. The Saints have only won one game, and they finally did it last week, and they did it looking like the Saints of old. I mean, how do you tell which team it's going to be this week?
Hard to figure. I know we dogged them last week. I mean, the Saints had not looked good, and then they go into Seattle. But the thing I noticed about that game is sometimes when a team's going poorly, like the Saints were and really still are, you look for a spark. Sometimes a spark can turn into a brush fire, and they got that bad punt situation with Seattle early, scored, got on the board first on the road up there at Quest Field, tough place to play. Suddenly the crowd isn't into it as much. Then they got another touchdown. It's 14-0 Saints, and all of a sudden they've got life. All of a sudden the Saints are feeling like, you know what? I think it's 06 again. Drew Brees is looking good. Reggie Bush went off. I mean, Reggie Bush, if it weren't for Adrian Peterson earlier in the day, we'd be talking about what he did last week.
Yeah, right.
We want to thank you again for tuning into this DVD. Now we feel like you have an inside view of what it is that we're doing here on the show, what it is that we've done, and now we want to just veer off a little bit about where it is that we're going because, Jeff, this industry of fantasy football has millions of people that are passionate about it, and when I tune in on my cable TV, I don't see any shows out there that really meet the average viewer right where he is for fantasy football.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we're just a couple guys who you'll run into at the grocery store. In all likelihood, we'll be wearing our jerseys because we're huge NFL fans. And the NFL has started to see fantasy football as a real live entity. During games, there's fantasy stat trackers going on because there's guys all across the country who are locked in and looking at how their players are doing on a game-by-game basis. And so it's a real legitimate business opportunity that we're trying to take the next step for here with our show, and that means reaching more people on an interactive level.
And that's what the website is for. If you haven't done so already, you got to go on and check out our website, Testosterone Fantasy Sports or testosteronesports.com. On there on a weekly basis, we post our show as well as matchup breakdowns. We rank all of the players. We have different writers that work with us on there. It's basically a fantasy football website with a spin, because the key focus of our website, Jeff, realistically is our show.
Yeah, it really is our show, and that's one reason why one of the main changes that we made or steps forward that we took for the 2007 season was to take everything that we produce on a television production level and put it online.
Exactly.
And that's been something that people have really met with a lot of positivity. Our show's all over YouTube now. We've got a bank of probably 150 hours on there now, and our show is a week-by-week basis show, so it takes a lot of an effort for us to produce because there's constantly news coming out, so our product is totally renewable.
And that's great too for the people that are viewing this DVD, because on a weekly basis during the season, we know that viewers are not only tuning into our show here in the Minneapolis market, but they're also going on to our website to check out what's been happening, what players are injured, what players face good matchups, what players do they need to put on their fantasy benches. And that's where the rubber meets the road for us in this labor of love that we call testosterone. It's really about helping the people out there who play fantasy football dominate their leagues, and the response has been overwhelming.
Yeah, it's really been great, and I'll tell you, I'd like to talk about the Fat Chat for just a minute, Jesse. This is something that, with a mindset of interconnectivity with the people out there, we built the chat room into our site, and each week after our show airs, we're into our chat room, and people are coming in feeling like they need our information.
Exactly, and we chat with them on there. Through this interaction, we've been able to get to know several of these guys. They come on there on a weekly basis. Multiple people here have told friends of theirs about it. They're seeing the show. We're seeing the viewership of the show rise, and really that's the purpose of this DVD, is because we want to help our show take the next step forward.
Yeah, high quality fantasy football prognostication is really hard to come by, and I'll tell you that there's always, every Sunday morning when I get up and get ready for the football games to start, I always turn on my computer and there's several different emails of people who are like, Jeff, I need your opinion.
Right.
Should I start player A or player B in this given situation? And that's the one niche that we've been able to carve out, is a very valuable and necessary informational gathering of minds here in the fantasy football industry.
And it's absent of the highbrow approach. I mean, these guys aren't looking to ESPN people that are wearing three-piece suits and seem very unapproachable. No, they like our approach because we're guys just like them. That's why they reach out to us. And we really feel like we've got a corner in this marketplace, a unique niche, if you will. So we invite you to check out this last segment of our show, kind of talking about sponsorship activities. And Jeff, we welcome anybody who wants to partner with us, because we just want to make this thing better.
Well, I'll tell you that when we started this whole thing, and I know that you, as well as myself, were outside of the box thinkers, Jesse, and that's kind of one reason why our show has been successful.
Correct.
Without really any funding so far, we've been able to put ourselves in a position to where 700,000 homes receive our show now.
Right.
On a regular basis, week by week, in the Twin Cities market. And just, with your help out there, we're going to be able to take the next step for our show, which is to meet more people, to reach more people, and to get our product out there, partnering with you and your product to meet the services and the needs of other people out there who watch our show.
So go on to the website, testosteronefantasysports.com, drop us an email, check out this final segment of the DVD. We thank you for joining us, and we hope that this has given you a little bit of a taste of what it is that we do here on Testosterone. And we, just like we tell all of our viewers, you got to tune in, because if you want to win,
You must tune in
to Testosterone Fantasy Sports. We'll catch you next time.